Hello guys, welcome here to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing a match preview for Manchester United versus Wolves at Old Trafford in the Premier League, which is going to be played on Saturday the 22nd of September 2018, and it's the sixth game for Manchester United in the Premier League, as it is for newly promoted Wolves who came up from the Championship. In today's match preview we're going to be talking about Manchester United, we're going to be talking about the opposition in Wolves, we're going to be talking about what team we should play, we'll be talking about the danger men of Wolves, we'll be talking about recent meetings against Wolves, my prediction, and we'll be talking about all things about Man United versus Wolves. As you know, I've said this in the Brighton vlog, which I went to and did the other day, the last video I had uploaded on this channel, and as you know from another video I did saying I'd go into this game. As you know, I am going to this match. I am going to see Manchester United versus Wolves at Old Trafford live in the Premier League. I have got a ticket for this match, like I did for Newcastle last year, like I did for Brighton. I have got a ticket for this game. Now, as I said with the Newcastle game last year, I did a match preview in the week of the game, and then obviously I then did the mini sort of match day vlog on the actual day of the game. I'm going to be doing exactly the same for the Wolves game. Today I'm going to be doing a match preview for the game, and then when obviously I've been to the game, I'm going to combine a little match day mini vlog. So just like Newcastle we have the preview in the vlog, for Wolves we will have the preview in the vlog. So yeah, you can look out for the mini match day vlog over the channel a few days after the game. But today we're going to be talking all about Manchester United versus Wolves, getting myself ready for the game on Saturday between United and Wolves, which I'm so excited to go and see. As I said, I've not been to Old Trafford since last November, where we won 4-1 against Newcastle, so I'm really excited to go back to Old Trafford and, you know, see them play against Wolves. Obviously, you might also, you know, obviously I went to the Brighton away game the other week. We lost 3-2, so that's made me just even more hungry to see Manchester United play well and get a win. So hopefully we will beat Wolves on Saturday. But anyway, let's get into the video then. Let's start talking about Manchester United now. Since that Brighton game, I've not done a video, and there's been a lot which has happened then. So the Brighton defeat started off causing a few problems, and then obviously we then got battered 3-0 at home to Tottenham, and there's been a lot of the press, a lot of the media, a lot of journalism writing stuff negatively about Manchester United. I understand there's probably not a lot to write positively at this moment in time, but they've been making it out to be like a massive deal when it was only 3 games into the season. The point is, since then obviously we've beaten Burnley, obviously we play Watford, so we're now 5 games into the season, this is the 6th. But the point I'm trying to say is, obviously, since I last did a video, there's been a lot written about Manchester United, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about Jose Mourinho and whether he's the right man for the job. The point is, Jose Mourinho, he's proven. He's a man who has won a lot in his career, whether it's the Champions League with Porto, whether it's the league title with Real Madrid, the league title a couple of times with Chelsea, you know. And okay, yes, he may not have won the Premier League or the Champions League with United, but he's still won things. He's won the Europa League, he's won the FA Cup, he's won the he's not won the FA Cup, has he? He's won the League Cup, and he guided us to second in the Premier League last season. So whatever you say about Jose Mourinho, he is a winner, and I do feel like in that sense, okay, yes, he might not play the most attractive football, but he does get results. And whether we play bad and get results, or whether we play well and get results, the main thing is we just get the results. And that's the thing I like about Jose Mourinho. The only thing is, a lot of people think that the football is just not Manchester United style. They've got bored of it. And I think you can agree with that. But I think the thing is, Manchester United have been in a little bit of a mess at the start of the season. You'd have to say that the pre-season tour wasn't brilliant, was it? We had a lot of players who are away still from recovering from the World Cup. Then obviously during the tour, obviously we had a few injuries. We had a few bad performances, as you know. We got beat 4-1 by Liverpool, as you may remember, and we got beat by Bayern Munich 1-0 when we only had like 1 shot or something ridiculous like that. So there's been a lot of negativity around during pre-season. Obviously we only really made 1 sort of first team edition in Fred. So, you know, people have been a bit negative because of the pre-season. People have been a bit negative because of the lack of signings. People have been a bit negative because of the sort of the way that Mourinho has not been sort of positive about Man United's season by sort of saying it's going to be a difficult season. And obviously, again, you know, some people were very negative after the performance and results against Brighton and Tottenham, which is fair enough. So there's been a lot of negativity, and some people have said the club is in a bit of a mess. I think the problem is loads of people have different opinions, and you're going to find it difficult to find another Man United fan who have the same opinion as me. and then another one has the exact same, and everyone has the same opinion as me. There's going to be people who disagree with me. There's people I disagree with. That's the good thing about football is it's all about opinions. People can have different opinions, and they can have different says in different games and etc. But the point I'm trying to say is, without failure, you cannot deny the fact that it's not all Jose Mourinho's fault. Ed Woodward obviously had that banner over the Burnley game. Is it his fault? Is it Jose Mourinho's fault? Is it the players' fault? In terms of Ed Woodward, yeah, he's probably more interested in the business side of Manchester United than he is in the actual football club itself. He's always interested in these new deals with cola and stuff like, noodles and stuff like that. He's very interested in the whole business side of it. And is that sort of stopping us? Like, Mourinho said to Woodward that he didn't want him signing Cristiano Ronaldo. What's going on there is basically Woodward thinks good opportunity to get Ronaldo. It'll please the fans, but it's a great business deal. Think of all the shirt sales you would get from signing Cristiano Ronaldo. So the point is, we're in a situation these days where our CAO in Ed Woodward is very, very much interested in the whole business side and always wants to get the big deals like Cristiano Ronaldo done. Whereas Mourinho is more interested in getting the deals which aren't so, good, but will help improve the team. So he'd rather even get Ronaldo, he would rather get someone like Perisic, and rather than get someone like Varane, he would rather get someone like Harry Maguire or Alderweireld. So Jose Mourinho, he works with the players, he's the manager, he knows what's best for Manchester United. Let's face it, not Ed Woodward, not the fans, not the players. So if Jose Mourinho wants Maguire or Alderweireld or another centre back, you've got to trust him and go with him. And that's the thing with Ed Woodward. Gary Neville spoke about this on Monday Night Football the other week. It's like, you can't back him for so many transfer windows and then not back him for the final one or something. It was back the first one where we got Pogba, Ibrahimovic, Bailly and Mkhitaryan. It was back the next one where we got like Alexis Sanchez. He was backed when we obviously got Lindelof, Matic and Lukaku. He's been backed again, obviously, with the fact that we got Fred, but he's not been fully backed again. If he was fully backed, we would have chucked a load at Alderweireld, we would have chucked a load at Harry Maguire, we would have chucked a load at, we would have chucked a load of money at those players, but we didn't. And I think that's the problem, is the fact that Jose Mourinho hasn't been backed this summer. Jose Mourinho had a list. He's given a list to Ed Woodward, and Ed Woodward's only got one of the players on that list. Okay, yeah, he did get, Lee Grant, and okay, yes, he did get, Diego Dalot. But how often are they going to play this year? We need the players to strengthen this team. The only player you would say who strengthened this team this year is Fred. So the point is, Ed Woodward hasn't backed Jose Mourinho, and as Gary Neville said, you can't do 3/4 of a project and back them for the 3/4 and then not do the final quarter. You can't say with Jose Mourinho that he's not been backed in the way that he's not been given any money, because there's some players like Tottenham didn't sign anyone this year. Yeah, they came to Old Trafford and they won 3-0. You could say players like Chelsea, they only signed Jorginho or a few players, but their main signing was Jorginho, and they're doing well. So you can't say Jose Mourinho hasn't been backed, because he spent a whole lot of money in his first summer, he spent a whole lot of money in his second summer, now in his third summer. Okay, he's not spent so much, but he's still spent 52 million on a player. So you can't say he's not been backed at all, but he's not been backed fully. And I think if he was backed fully, he would have brought in another centre-back. And if we had brought in another centre-back, would we have had the problems against Brighton away? Would we have had the problems in our defence against Tottenham at home? Because let's face it, the problems of the results at Brighton and the problems at Tottenham were down to the fact that our defence was shaky. The defence was all over the place at Brighton, it was all over the place at Tottenham. So the point I'm trying to get across here is, if Mourinho was backed and Woodward did get one of Mourinho's centre-backs in Maguire or Alderweireld, would our defence be better? And would we have lost against Brighton? Would we have lost against Tottenham? Because surely our centre-back pairing would have been better. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. But you can't it's all Woodward's fault. Because at the end of the day, Woodward has still bought players with Mourinho. He's still backed him. Just Mourinho probably hasn't chosen his players the wisest. Because at the end of the day, since Mourinho's come here, he's had 2 seasons here. And in these 2 seasons, he's signed Eric Bailly as a centre-back, and he's bought Victor Lindelof as a centre-back. Now, if you're playing 4 at the back, you have 2 centre-backs, you have a left-back and you have a right-back, don't you? So the point is, if you're playing 4 at the back, you play 2 centre-backs. Since Mourinho's come in at Man United, he's bought two centre-backs in Bailly and Lindelof. So, in a way, you could say, well, realistically, that was your opportunity to get your two centre-backs. Now, I know obviously you can get injuries. I know obviously they might not turn out to be as good as you think they are. But for me, you can't say Mourinho's not been backed, because at the end of the day, he has. Woodward has bought in players for him. And at the end of the day, what Mourinho has been crying out for is a centre-back. But at the end of the day, he still brought in two centre-backs. So if he had actually got the two centre-backs at the time he wanted, surely you'd be playing that Lindelof-Bailly partnership. That's what I'm trying to say. He should have maybe got a better centre-back at that point. But at the end of the day, he has brought in two centre-backs for Mourinho. So I don't think it's all Woodward's fault, but I think it's definitely partly to blame for Woodward, because if Woodward had backed Mourinho fully, then you would have another centre-back, and I think if we had Alderweireld, we would be a better side. Mourinho, again, it's sort of his fault, because I don't think we play the best football, and he's not getting the best out of his players. There's no denying it. Paul Pogba at the World Cup was fantastic. He was world class. Yeah, Paul Pogba for United so far this season hasn't been so good. Anthony Martial, I know how quality he is. You saw in the first season when we had Van Gaal, he was absolutely fantastic. You've seen him sometimes when he's played for Manchester United. He had that little patch, didn't he, throughout the last season where he played well. He's a confidence player. Mourinho's not playing him enough, so he's not getting the confidence, and so he's not playing very well. Then you've got Alexis Sanchez, who's probably one of the worst ones. Last season he was fantastic, wasn't he, for Arsenal? Or the season before that he was fantastic. He's coming at United and he's scored like 3 league goals in so many months. He's not been good enough. So the point is, you've got players like Alexis Sanchez, Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial, 3 fantastically class footballers who are not performing under Jose Mourinho. Can you think of any player who, apart from Jesse Lingard, who he's actually improved his football under Jose Mourinho? Not a lot. So although Ed Woodward's partly to blame, he's not fully to blame. And although Jose Mourinho's partly to blame for the fact he's not got the best out of his players, because of the fact that Jose Mourinho's partly to blame because of the fact that he's not played good football, at the same time, you've got to say, well, Mourinho did want a centre-back. He didn't get one, and that's where the problems have come this season. At the end of the day, what I love about Mourinho, he's been passionate recently. He likes the fans, and I feel like he does like this football club. And I feel like Mourinho could be the right man to turn around. Because let's face it, if you sack Mourinho now, who comes in? People will say Zidane. But Zinedine Zidane was the manager of a fantastic Real Madrid side, yeah? He was a fantastic manager of a Real Madrid side. Did he win the league title? No. All he did was win, what was it, 3 Champions Leagues in a row? Okay, yeah, he did well at Real Madrid. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying, oh yeah, he only won 3 Champions Leagues. My point is, he didn't win the league title. He won the Champions League. But let's face it, who did he have in his team? He had a midfield of Toni Kroos, Casemiro, and Luka Modric. He had a front 3 of Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema. Who have Manchester United got, yeah? In comparison to that. He had fucking Cristiano Ronaldo. We don't have that sort of player. And the point is, Cristiano Ronaldo scored in like every single game in the Champions League last year on their way to winning the entire cup. Okay, he didn't score in the final, but he still had that. And even players like, you just know that Real Madrid had that quality side. And so the thing is, a half-decent manager can go to Real Madrid and do well with that squad. So Zidane doing well with that Real Madrid squad doesn't suddenly make him a world-class manager. It means he's done well, but it doesn't make him a world-class manager. He's not done it at any other team, has he? He's gone to Real Madrid. He didn't win them the league. He won them a lot of Champions Leagues, though. But at the end of the day, with that squad, you would expect him to do well. Whereas, would he do so well here at Manchester United when the football's not so good at the moment, and we've not got as much talent? So people say Zidane, get rid of Mourinho, get in Zidane. And I get why people would say that. But you can't disagree with the fact that Zidane isn't fully proven in the way that he's only been at Real Madrid and he's done well with a good Real Madrid team. He's never coached in the Premier League, so it's a risk. And you could get in Zidane and he doesn't do so well. And then he gets back for the first couple of windows, brings in some players, and then a couple of years down the line he goes and then someone else comes in, he gets back, and suddenly we're backing all these managers at the start, but not backing him until the end. And that's the problem. I feel like we need to give someone time. And I feel like Mourinho is one we should give time. Until he loses the dressing room, which I don't think he has, you give Mourinho time. And for me, I back Mourinho. That's what I'm saying. I also think, as I said, I've said Woodward is partly to blame. I said Mourinho is partly to blame. I also think the players are partly to blame. I feel like they've got to step up their performance, because at the end of the day, that team at Brighton was good enough to beat them. And if they actually played well, we could have beaten them. On that day away at Brighton, who would you say played well apart from Luke Shaw? Only Luke Shaw played well. So my point is, when you've got a team of 11, if only one player plays well, then that's a problem. And I think the other thing is the team players and individuals rather than as a team. So I think the players also need to step up. So Woodward needs to step up, Mourinho needs to step up, and the players need to step up. And I think when they step up, I feel like Manchester United could become a force, and we could title for the challenge. Also, I don't want to see anyone who says, "Oh, we can't title for the challenge, contend for the title." We're only, we're 5 games into the season. There's still 33 to go. There's still a lot more to happen. We can beat all the top 6 and suddenly, so you don't know what's going to happen. But all I'm saying is that's my take on the whole situation with Woodward, Mourinho and the players. That's my sort of take on the situation. Anyway, let's stop talking about that sort of situation. I've talked a lot about Manchester United. We're 15 minutes into the video. I've not even talked about Wolves or the game really that much. I've talked about Manchester United in the situation, which is fine because this is a Man United Wolves preview. So obviously I am going to talk about Manchester United. It's a Manchester United channel. I'm a Manchester United fan. It's a Manchester United match preview. So I'm going to talk about Manchester United, but I also need to talk about the game in terms of I need to talk about Wolves. So we'll get into Wolves in a minute. But as I said, Manchester United, we've shown signs against Leicester. We've shown signs against Burnley. Hopefully we can put those 2 defeats against Brighton and Tottenham away of us and get this result against Wolves, and that will be key for me. But yeah, that's just how I see it at the moment in terms of the whole situation at this football club. But anyway, now it's time to talk about the opposition. Let's stop talking about Manchester United. Let's talk about Wolves and the game on Saturday between United and Wolves. Now, so far, Wolves have actually done quite well in the Premier League. Now, Wolves were one of the teams with Fulham and Cardiff who actually had a very, very difficult start to the season in the Premier League. They had Everton at home to kick off the campaign, Leicester away, then they had City at home, then they had West Ham away, and then Burnley at home. So, you'd have to say Everton at home isn't an easy game. Leicester away isn't an easy game. Man City at home is obviously not a very easy game at all. West Ham away and Burnley at home, those teams when they play well can be difficult games, but this season so far West Ham and Burnley haven't done so well. So you'd have to say Wolves have had a difficult first 5 games. And obviously now they've come away to Old Trafford. So Wolves have had a difficult start in the Premier League with their fixtures. But the way they've actually done, the performances they've put in and the actual results they've got is being very promising for Wolves. I watched their game against Manchester City and I'll talk a bit about that. But obviously they started their campaign at home to Everton. And they drew that 2-2. And they battled, they went behind twice from Richarlison strikes, but they fought back on both occasions, and in the end they came away with a 2-2 draw, which isn't a bad result at home to Everton, especially with all the money they spent. Then obviously they went away to Leicester, and I heard they were really good away at Leicester. They hit the bar a couple of times, they had a few good chances, but they got beat 2-0 there. One was an own goal and one was a deflected goal, so they were really unlucky away at Leicester and they got beat 2-0. And obviously then they had that game against Manchester City where they drew 1-1. And I think that was the sort of result which really sort of announced them as a Premier League club, because Manchester City last year, they won the league by 19 points by getting 100 points in the whole season. They only dropped something like 14 points throughout the whole of last season, I think, Manchester City. And so for Wolves to play against them in the way they did and to get the result they did, they played very well. As I said, this game was live on Sky, so I did actually watch it. And Wolves did very well. They did very well. The thing I liked about Wolves in that game against City is they pressed them. A lot of times when a team plays City, they sit back, like Huddersfield did at the Etihad, and then they end up getting beat 6-1 because of the fact that when you sit back, you let them to have the ball. And when you let a team like City have the ball, you're just basically saying, come on, have a go. And then they always go and break you down, and that's the thing. Whereas Wolves, they didn't do that. They stuck to their guns, they played their football, and they actually went at City and they forced them into mistakes. They had a goal which was disallowed. They had a good chance from Helder Costa, I think. And they played really well. Don't get me wrong, City had their chances. They hit the post. They forced Patricio into an amazing save. Aguero hit the post literally in the bar in the final minute of a free kick. So don't get me wrong, City had their chances. But Wolves played really well that day, and what I was really impressed with Wolves was their approach, the way that they didn't sit back and try to defend. They went at City and they tried to force them into mistakes. Whether they'll do that at Old Trafford on Saturday, I don't know, because the difference is obviously that was at their home ground, this was obviously at Old Trafford. So I think obviously there's a difference there. Social facilitation and inhibition at home to Manchester City. If you force someone into a mistake, the crowd can get you up and it can suddenly start rocking Man City, whereas at Old Trafford it's slightly different. So I don't know whether Wolves will take a different approach away at Manchester United, but judging by what they did away at Leicester and what they did away at West Ham, you can't say that they are going to do. But this is their first big team away from home. I know they played City, but it's their first team away from home, which has been like the top 6 side. So it'll be interesting to see their approach. But Nuno said that he's not going to change his approach, so I imagine they'll go with the same attitude of going in at the team, trying to force them into mistakes, which I think actually plays into Manchester United's hands quite well. And I think that will be quite a good watch, because I don't want to go to Old Trafford and you just have Wolves having 10 men behind the ball, and United just can't break it down. It'll be quite nice to see Wolves actually come and play football at Old Trafford, so that'll be quite nice. But as I said, they played really well against Manchester City that day. Okay, yeah, the goal, Willy Bully's goal was okay, very, 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 very dubious, and let's face it, it shouldn't have stood. Let's face it, it shouldn't have stood, but because of the handball. But Wolves deserved to draw that game. They forced City into mistakes. They played very well. They went at City, and in the end they drew 1-0. And at the end of the day, not many teams take points of City. Before that, City in their 2 games before that, they beat Arsenal away convincingly, 2-0, and they thrashed Huddersfield 6-1 home. So when a team like Man City have just won the league with 100 points, winning it by 19, having one of the best seasons ever in the Premier League, then go and beat Emery's Arsenal on his first game 2-0 at the Emirates, and then thrashing Huddersfield 6-1 to go at home to Man City, draw 1-0, pick off some points for them the way they played. Wolves play very well, and it does make me a little bit worried about how good they could be. Then obviously they then went away to West Ham the following week, and they won 1-0, their first win in the Premier League. And they won that with a Adama Traore strike in the 90 plus 3 minutes. And he is someone who, if he starts, we've got to be wary of, because he's got a lot of pace. The only thing is he's not got that end product, but he showed at West Ham he's more than capable of putting the ball in the back of the net. So, Wolves have had a good start to the Premier League, despite the fact that they've had difficult games. They have had a good start. And I think the 3 danger men who I've got to point out, I think you've got to say Raul Jimenez. For me, you've got to say he looks good. He looks like a good striker. Obviously, coming from Mexico, I think he's done well. He's a Mexican international, and as I said, he looks like a good striker, and I think Wolves have done really well to get him. So I've got to say fair play to them for that. On the other hand, you've got to say Ruben Neves, what a fantastic player he is. Signed him from Porto, Manchester City, Manchester United apparently reportedly looking out for him maybe in January at the end of the season. But Ruben Neves is fantastic. You saw that with his free kick away, his free kick at home to Everton. Bloody hell! Like last season, he scored some absolute fantastic strikes. I can't remember who it was against, but he scored that unbelievable volley in the top corner. I can't remember who it was against, but he did that last year in the Championship. And he kept it up by scoring that free kick against Everton. So Raul Jimenez is definitely someone to look forward to. Their striker looks very, very good. Ruben Neves is absolutely quality. He really is absolutely fantastic, and it wouldn't be surprising if he comes to a top 6 club after a few seasons at Wolves. And then I think the other one you've got to watch is that Adama Traore. Whether he'll start or whether or not, because obviously he's not started many of the Premier League games. Whether he'll start or not, I don't know. But I think after what he did against Man City, and after scoring against West Ham the way he did, that Adama Traore, he looks like someone with the pace and strength he has. He can definitely be someone I'm a bit scared of. So I think the 3 players to watch for Wolves, for me, are Raul Jimenez, Ruben Neves and Adama Traore. I think those are the 3 to watch, in my opinion.
So just a summary of Manchester United's season so far. United started the league campaign with a 2-1 victory at home to Leicester City, but then 2 defeats were inflicted on the Reds within a week. Brighton beating Manchester United 3-2 at the Amex Stadium, and then Tottenham winning 3-0 at Manchester United after a second half blitz from the away side. But Man United have responded to those 2 defeats by winning 2 games away from home at teams who last season were very good. Burnley finished 7th. Watford so far this season have been very good. Man United went to Burnley and won 2-0 thanks to a Romelu Lukaku brace, and then went to Watford, who at the time of Man United going to Watford had won all 4 of their league games and were in a position where they had even beating Tottenham. So United went to Watford, they had won all 4 of their games, they were 3rd in the league, and they came away with the 3 points and they won 2-1. So far United 9 points out of 15, 3 wins, 2 defeats as they head into this game against Wolves. As I was saying with Wolves, they've done well themselves this season. They played very well at Everton, they played very well against Leicester, did really well against City, and obviously ended up coming away with a victory, their first victory of the season away at West Ham. As I said, they started the season off with a 2-2 draw at home to Everton before losing their first game of the season 2-0 away at Leicester. Then the champions Manchester City came in their first real big test, and they drew 1-1 after a fantastic display. Their first victory of the season came away at West Ham thanks to a 90th minute goal from Traore, and then their first home win of the season came against Burnley this Sunday thanks to Raul Jimenez's goal. So far for Wolves, they won 2 games, drawn 2 and lost 1. they've picked up 8 points and I've only got one less point than Man United.
Right, so I'm going to wrap this video
season.
up here. I've talked about Manchester United and the sort of situation they're in. Is it Woodward to blame? Is it Mourinho to blame? Is it just the players not performing? Or are the media just, overreacting to those 2 results Man United have had earlier in the season? I've talked about that. I've talked about Wolves in terms of how they've done so far in the Premier League, how they played against City, West Ham, etc. I've talked about Wolves' 3 key danger men to look out for. And also I've looked at the team I'd like Manchester United to play against Wolves on Saturday. But now it's time for me to wrap this video up with a prediction. Obviously last year when I went to Old Trafford to see Man United versus Newcastle, I was like, just please Man United win this game, don't care how, just win it. And we went 1-0 down and I was like, oh shit, and then we ended up winning 4-1. If we did the same this time, a 4-1 win would be absolutely lovely and I'd love it. I'd be very lucky though to go and see 2 4-1 wins in 2 seasons in a row. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think the way Wolves have played so far this season, the way they've set up, the players they've got, the money they spent, Wolves look very, very good. And so for me, I think it's going to be a difficult game. But I still think at Old Trafford, with the squad United have, I think we'll still have too much. And so in my opinion, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester United win. So I think it's going to be Manchester United 2, Wolves 1 at Old Trafford on Saturday. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. And as I said, don't forget to check back to this channel after the match, because I'm going to be recording a little mini match day vlog for this game, because I'm going to see Man United versus Wolves on Saturday. But thank you for watching. See you later.